Okay, so I just want to welcome you all to, this is the introductory call to Rejuvenate My Brain, which some of you know I've been talking about for a long time. And the light bulb went on a couple of days ago, which was, we've got to get started with a way of helping people at a group level so that we can give some down-to-earth practical information and also be available for Q&As and also your input, because there's a lot of wisdom at a grassroots level that the media doesn't cover. They just cover the sensationalist stuff, or they're censoring the practical, literally old wives' wisdom that we've known for centuries, that is being made to seem like it doesn't work. So this is what I wanted to do, was to set the record straight. So welcome those of you who've made it at such short notice. I'm delighted you are here. And we'll get started. Oh, there's Anne. Welcome. The other Anne.
Alice Anne.
Alice Anne. So I'm very delighted you're on, Alice Anne, because I know how busy you are. So what we were just talking about is just some sane, practical, down-to-earth tips to help you and help others, because I know a lot of you, like Shannon, is in the big helping profession, and just to kind of keep your own center and calm when people are panicking all over the globe. Yep. So let's just start a little share. Here we go. There we go. So those of you who are actually live on the call with me, I know you all know what Rejuvenate My Face is, which is the fire element, and the birth dance is the water element, where we're going much more deeper in, and Rejuvenate My Brain is the earth element, because this is where we're working on the physical stuff, the physical supplements, day-to-day stuff that we can do that's just very practical and sensible and helps us be as much in balance as we possibly can in this very unbalanced world right now, rather chaotic world right now. So we're using functional medicine, neuroscience, and nutrition to the foundation of the soul. So, and the color you're going to see, this theme, Rejuvenate My Face, is kind of deep pinks and reds, which is the fire element, as you know. Birth dance is the deeper yin colors, which are the blues and dark, turquoises. And this is more oranges and yellows, and the more we balance all the colors that we wear and we live with, and especially the food we eat, the more balanced we can be. So we're in this earth element, which is really about connecting with planet Earth and connecting with the soil and enjoying the fruits of the soil and the healing that the fruits of the soil bring. So what my plan is with this introductory call is just to, just give a brief overview, each session, if you decide to continue. Oh, hello. There's a big deer right outside my window eating the fruits of the soil, right under my nose, just eating my grass. Okay, so, as we know, nature always reflects back to us what's going on. Julian, I have to laugh. He's huge. He's huge. He's obviously very healthy on this lush green soil. So,
Julian, you have a picture.
Can you get a picture of him, Julian? For your granddaughter. So anyway, so here is just the epitome of the lushness. And on our property, I know some of you already know, there is, we don't use Wi-Fi, and we don't use any poisons or sprays since we've been living here. And in the last 2 years that we've been here, this is the first spring that the bees are back. So, this is back to, how can we help planet Earth and not blanket it with Wi-Fi that affects the insects and the creatures. And I think that's probably why we have such a lush amount of wildlife here. And we had a young man, 19-year-old from England, who came to stay a few months ago, and he decided we lived in a wildlife park, which is true. So we want you to teach you, to help you reconnect with just simple earthy ways boost your immune system and survive and help others to be healthy in these times. So what I was saying was I'm going to be giving you some basic information and maybe stimulating food for thought. And then I know that you have your own very wise tips too. So it's also a forum to share those, your own wisdom. Yep. So let's see where we're going to start. There's actually a lot on the internet that's very kind of, can be very scattered, not very balanced, or people are suggesting stuff like, let's see, take vitamin C, for example. And then there are tons of skeptics that chime in on these forums, these lay forums that go, well, what's the evidence? And there is tons of evidence. So let me see what's next. This is just a little bit about Rejuvenate My Brain and why I'm holding this particular series. I've been kind of passionate about it for a long time. Because one, your biography creates your biology. That means your early trauma. And we talked about this a bit, those of you who were on the call yesterday, about the ACE study, the adverse childhood experiences that affect people's health now. So what we want to look at is old triggers that may be creating, or with your clients, creating a recurring panic around health and illness, where family members got sick or childhood illnesses that were dire. And so we want to kind of bring that into perspective and do a separation with that and say, that was then or that was other people and it's not you. Yeah. Connection transforms. These are the 3 principles of Rejuvenate My Brain. Connection transforms physiology. They've done tons of studies which are fabulous. And in fact, I know a young man, Julian knew him since he was tiny growing up and in the spiritual community that Julian was part of. His name's James Maskell, and he is on a mission to transform healthcare. And he's starting in England, by the way, David and Anne. He's starting in England with the National Health and about creating community visits. And I thought and how that will help boost the immune system. And I thought that's so cool, because that's what this is about, is, even if people are canceling everywhere, all their events, live events, which is all about community and connection, yes, and social engagement system. At least we've got Zoom that we can create community and support each other. And that connection in the mirror neurons can help boost the immune system. I'm just writing a note for something I want to talk about in a bit. And then this piece is completely separate, but your labs are your scorecards. So your labs tell you, how you're doing, so that we can't just pretend and be Pollyanna. But right now, this is about the connection, that when we connect and know that there are people that are actually doing very, very well, in spite of the scare, the coronavirus scare, it's really important to remember that, so that your immune system can align with that sense of wellness no matter what. Yeah. And here you've probably already read this. Most sickness happens, if you remember this, in the dorsal vagal state. So that's the reptilian mode, where we go into shutdown, the freeze, the collapse, possum mode, and the immune system shuts down. Okay, and the mitochondria go into this cell danger response. The mitochondria's job is to give us energy and help us be vibrant and happy and healthy. And when it's deemed to be dangerous, everything stops. The mitochondria go into cell danger response, and then they cannot let in the nutrients, the nourishment, the love, the connection, the sunshine, the supplements that can help. So number one is remember, notice. You've had lots of practice, a lot of you, in noticing where you are if you're at the bottom of the ladder and in turtle mode, and what happens when you come out into the top of the ladder, by resourcing and supporting. And if you remember the play formula, the book I wrote is exactly about boosting the immune system. Yeah, through joy, through funny movies, through cuddling your cat or your dog, or just playing with your grandchildren or your kids, just things that make you laugh, bring you back into enjoyment, because that joy, the actual frequency of joy, cancels out the stress response. So anything we can do to encourage, our loved ones and ourselves to keep shifting into joy, even though it may be scary, especially those of you maybe in Europe and with what's going on in Italy, to keep coming back to this, that this is our natural state. Okay. How are we doing so far? Doing okay? Give me a thumbs up if you're doing okay. Thumbs down if you have or let me know if you have a question. Yeah? Okay. So let's see. This is what we said, sickness occurs when the cell danger response is activated. And the cell danger response was discovered by a guy, I think he's in San Diego, called Dr. Robert Navio. And he has been doing some research with Dr. Stephen Porges, where they have been combining, Dr. Stephen Porges' polyvagal theory of the shutdown and the cell danger response that triggers the shutdown. Yeah. So the healing cycle gets interrupted. So that's what I wanted to start with first, is how can you stay sane so that the healing cycle for each of you, each of your clients, all of us, just continues no matter what in the middle of, mass panic. Okay? How to reestablish safety. What can you do to be safe? And I know here in America, a lot of people are choosing to self-isolate, which is, if that's helping them feel safe, then that's important. And to turn that into not self-isolating from a place of fear, but from a place of choice, and maybe even instead of having a forced isolation, choosing to have like a staycation, as we say in America, where you're actually making yourself safe and comfy and cozy in your cocoon and doing things that you love and catching up on maybe special projects that you've put off for a long time, and just using this time to be empowered, okay, that you're actually choosing this. So safety, safety, safety. And those of you who've done the birth dance, if you need reminder, then go back and review those 5 keys to create your safe container. So, I know I'm kind of speeding along, but, I know you're all very busy, and I just wanted to get a lot of information in a short amount of time for you. So this is what we do in Rejuvenate My Brain. We're not doing that here because I know a lot of you aren't in the program, but you're invited to this special call. But we're looking at nutrients, eco. We're going to be looking at eco today, including EMFs, lymph, sleep. Those are all parts of immune system. Stress or less stress, exercise, hydration. These are all parts to take care of. Lots of good water to keep your air passages moisturized, so viruses and stuff can't get stuck. They get just flushed down into your stomach, and your stomach acids break them down. That's the extreme importance of hydration right now. Okay, and you will be getting a replay. So if you're worried about taking notes, don't, because you'll be getting a replay. So here's particularly today, this is why I did this special call. There's way back, Chinese medicine is incredible for boosting the immune system and for busting bugs. And for us, it's separate. When you boost the immune system, just wondering, yeah, maybe what I'll do is go into Chinese medicine later, because it's a little bit more complicated, and it's very powerful. And I'll do the basic easy things that you can access or you probably have in your home already, and then I'll go into the Chinese medicine. The one point I do want to say about the Chinese medicine is, and I mentioned this yesterday on the birth dance call, is, when I was in China, they were very surprised when I was doing postgraduate work in Chinese medicine hospitals that I was doing Chinese medicine, and they kept saying, why aren't you doing Western? And I kept saying, when I got really sick when I was 20, 21, Western medicine didn't help, and Chinese medicine was what started me on the road to wellness. And they just looked at me blank, and I would keep saying, one day you're going to really appreciate how powerful your medicine is. And what baffles me when I, look at the news and the media and look at my doctor's forums, is that I think somebody who spent 18 months in China doing electromagnetic and Wi-Fi research basically said Big Pharma is so strong over there that they don't really trust their own medicine, which is tragic, because instead of lining up to go to the hospitals, in Wuhan and Wenbu and Zhejiang province, which are where some of the biggest outbreaks are, they could be going to their Chinese medicine doctors, and just busting through the bugs. So that's quite sad for me, that's not happening. It's like, where are the barefoot doctors? Where are they when we need them? And I also have a hunch that a lot of the Chinese medicine practitioners in the West are not trusting their Chinese medicine. And I just want to inspire people that, we've been in practice for 40 years and it's incredibly powerful. It's been powerful for all kinds of microbial epidemics. So we'll go into immune boosters and bug busters a little later, and I'll cover the basics. If you have an air filter, use it. Yep. If you're having to work in an office, use it. Especially the ozone air filters. And I know people have been led to be scared of ozone. But, if you need a source, contact me. I'm not going to give her name out on the internet. We use these filters all the time, especially if every winter when people come into us, full of bugs and flus, etc. And we stay pretty strong all the way through. Vitamins and minerals, I think a lot of you know about this, but just as a reminder, because even people who are very knowledgeable are forgetting, vitamin C is the top one. IV vitamin C is good. They've been using that in China. But liposomal vitamin C is excellent because you don't need to go into a doctor's office. And people have been having a lot of success with that, and there are studies to show that it's just as effective, actually more effective than the IVs, just because you can do it at home. So you may want to Google that and find out how to take it. There's been a run in America on liposomal and vitamin C. If you get stuck, or what I can do is send out, we have a company called Emerson Ecologics that you can get our discount. It's a max. I think the max we can offer is 20%. And they had definitely run out. I think they have 5 different brands of liposomal. But I'm just thinking, a couple of the companies were having shipments back in today. And it's always good to have it in stock for issues like this. Some skeptics on the internet are saying, well, what's the good of vitamin C? What's the proof? And there's actually amazing proof against this particular version of the coronavirus, which is a Chinese doctor trained in the West, in America. His name is Dr. Richard Cheng, Cheng. You can Google him. Some of his videos have been suppressed on the media, Facebook and YouTube. But he is doing research. He is a member of the Orthomolecular Association, which means heavy duty doses of vitamins and minerals. And they've been doing research, and they've got studies, and they've got a lot of success stories in Wuhan, and whole families that have been taking it, and they've been able to go into the hospital in and out when they had a family member, elderly, in the hospital. And none of them got sick, and their mom got out of ICU very fast. So now officially, and this is amazing, Shanghai is authorizing vitamin C as an official remedy, which I think is fantastic. So, what we want people to realize is there's lots we can do. In the media, most of it is there's nothing you can do against viruses, and especially this one, and we're working on a vaccine. Yeah. And what we're saying in our community is there's tons you can do, and it can be extremely effective. And not only that, it actually boosts and strengthens you and empowers you at the same time, as opposed to people getting really scared and thinking that it's helpless and it's hopeless. So one of the brands I think that's run out here is Pura Thrive Vitamin C. I think you can get that in England. I'm not sure. And on Amrita, not sure. But as I say, there are other brands, and just make sure, and here's the thing with the vitamin C, Emergency, that's an American brand, has been a very, very common version of vitamin C, but I don't know if they've changed it now, but it comes from corn. Most vitamin C comes from corn, and it was not GMO. That was when I checked it a few years ago, so I told people to avoid it. I don't know if it's changed. Maybe somebody can tell me, if it has changed. But just check if you're getting a vitamin C or liposomal, which is the most easily absorbed, that it's GMO-free and as organic as possible. If people are allergic to corn or have a problem with corn, there is a brand by a doctor called Dr. Peter Osborne, and people who have corn allergies do really, really well with that particular vitamin C. So it's not just any old vitamin C, it's just, do your due diligence and make sure that you're very judicious, very careful about what you're doing, because I don't want you to put in a bunch of glyphosate into your body in an attempt to boost your immune system, because that's going to knock out your gut, which is where 70 to 80% of your immune system lies. Okay, so that would be the most important vitamin at the moment, and I'm sure you know about vitamin A, vitamin and zinc. Vitamin D, of course, actually is another very, very important one to help boost your immune system. And if you're in any kind of climate that's sunny, sunshine on your skin. Just if you're able to do your back garden and it's sunny, then take your top off and get proper sunshine to your skin. And that's where the best source of vitamin D gets made. So that's a little bit on vitamins and minerals. We can go back, afterwards if you have questions in the Q&A. Food, as I said, just make sure that it's as organic as possible, so that you're not knocking out your digestive tract, and it's as fresh as possible. Somebody asked me yesterday on a private call, what about crystallized ginger? And that was a great question. So just a reminder, if you don't know, that avoid sodas, avoid anything like that that's processed, because what the sugar does is it actually stops immune activity. And that's pretty shocking. It stops it for about 5 hours. And I remember, a couple of decades ago in our old clinic, when we had a dark field microscope, it was probably 25 years ago, and we tested, and we looked at the microscope, and then we had someone take some sugar and tested their blood, and the white blood cells stopped. It basically stopped the whole movement of the immune system. So, if you have sugar cravings, see if you can do something different. Keep off the sugar, because that is one of the biggest immune suppressors. Okay, sugars, GMOs, pesticides, and fear are major immune suppressors. Herbs, we'll go back to. I've talked about sunshine. Make sure you get your excellent sleep if you can. If you're worrying, then make sure you watch a funny movie before you go to bed. And as always, and I know a lot of you have heard me say this, Chinese medicine is so good with creating healthy immune systems, which is wake up with the dawn and the sunshine if it's sunny in your country, and go to bed when it's dark. Get in bed by at least 10:30 at the latest, and that gives your liver a chance to detox and break things down. The wonderful thing about these sleep cycles is I'm in touch with a doctor from Europe, and he's researching. His name is Dr. Thomas Janossy, Janossy, and he's been doing a ton of research on circadian rhythms and what helps the immune system. And he discovered that the liver detoxes the best at night. And there's more we can go into, but for right here, I actually wrote my thesis back in 1983 on circadian rhythms and Chinese medicine, and how it's been proven to boost the immune system. So the more you follow the natural law of nature, your immune system is going to be more and more boosted, and you're going to feel more and more in harmony and connected with all the healing forces that are around you. And yesterday we talked about the fluids that are all around you that are incredibly healing. So these are some key things that may be obvious, but sometimes when our brains go into panic or we watch too much news, we forget these obvious things that are incredibly powerful and highly researched. And I'm going to spend a little bit of time on essential oils because that is something that we all have access to, and again, highly researched. Let me see if this is. Oh yeah. There are. How are we doing so far? Any thoughts? Any questions? Give me a thumbs up if we're okay. Yeah. Okay. Hopefully this isn't too much of a fire hose for you. I hope. And of course, I'll send you the replay so you can go back and re-listen. But oh, Anne, what was that? You shook. Could you hear me?
You're muted.
I'm muted.
Anne is.
Oh, Anne.
I'm waving at you too because David's trying to get your attention. That's all.
Oh, David, did you have a question?
Oh, just a quick question. You talked about no sugars.
Yes.
And I always used to understand that no sugars was processed sugars, but you keep hearing about people talking about sugars, anything that has that sugar content, even honey and so on, is has a detriment. So are you differentiating between them, or?
That's a really, really good question, David. Sugar is sugar is sugar. Yep. And the health food industry wants us to think that honey isn't sugar, but it has the same effect on the immune system. Manuka honey is very, very good for the immune system. Yep. Regular sugar is particularly bad because most of it is glyphosate. Yep, that kills knocks at the immune system in the gut. GMO. But even organic, healthy brown cane sugar or molasses, at the moment, I would stay away from if you can. If you do have a sweet tooth, then stevia, some people can tolerate that. Some people can tolerate xylitol. I'm not mad on that, but some people can tolerate that. There's a fruit called lohan, Chinese fruit, that they're using now as a sweetener. That does not seem to knock out the immune system. Is that helpful?
Yeah, so what is it regarding the Manuka honey that makes it different from, I mean, I know it's different, but what is it that makes it different from, normal organic honey or heather honey or something like that?
I don't know. I have an elderly patient who's about 82, 83 now, and he swears by it, and he is super healthy. Yes, he does everything else healthy too, and he plays basketball age 82. He just loves it and has been talking about it for decades, and his brother kind of grows it, makes it with his bees. And you can probably Google it, unless anybody else has any idea why it is so good. And then, of course, propolis is good, and royal jelly. That's a big deal in China, ironically, is royal jelly for the immune system. So maybe someone might tell us at the end. But yeah, good question. I'd be interested to know. I'll keep going and we can talk more about it after. Thanks.
Can I just
Anne.
ask, what about things like agave and coconut sugar? Would you put them in the same category?
I do. I do. I know people don't like that, but sugar is sugar. Yeah. And great question, because most, you'll see brown rice sweetened or agave sweetened. Eat this cinnamon roll because it is healthy sweetened. It's still sugar. I know that's, not very good news, but at the moment, if you can handle those sweet things, great, and your blood sugar, you're able to break it down. And some people can, if their guts are really healthy and they have lots of fiber, they can break it down. But if we're looking at the immune system right now, and we want you all to be as healthy as possible, then I was going to say sugar in moderation. I would say zero sugar. And I'm not saying this from a fear place. I'm saying this from an empowered place of you want your immune systems to be as strong and healthy as possible. Yeah, but thanks. That's a good question too, because it's a very, very common misconception. Okay, so, and I'm not wanting to be a dragon because I want you to have fun and enjoy your food, but it actually, just to let you know and inspire you, it takes a couple of weeks to de-addict from sugar. And sugar can be an addiction, and it's not about blaming anybody. It's about understanding that it absolutely can be, you know, a very strong addiction, just like gluten can be, and drugs, yeah? So just have lots of compassion for yourself and see if you can gently, gently wean yourself down a little bit, and make sure you get lots of fiber to break it down, and you're keeping your gut really healthy. Okay, so essential oils, I know that's, you know, quite popular, but when people talk about the immune system, I'm not seeing anybody talking about essential oils at the moment. You know, it's mainly just take your vitamin C or go into panic or isolate. But you know, a diffuser, some of you might have a diffuser, or, you know, there are lots of electrical ones. I use a kind of old-fashioned one. I actually haven't used it for ages because I haven't needed to. But I used to use it a lot, gosh, a long time ago. But you put your water in the top. Yeah, you put your little tea candle in the bottom. And then you drop your essential oils, and that just keeps it, things. This is very old-fashioned, nicely diffused. You know, this one actually has holes in the back, and it's just earthenware. And you can keep that just burning all day. If you have a busy family that's in and out all the time, they're just going to get, you know, gently influenced by it. So the some of the modern diffusers and nebulizers, you know, just can be a lot more effective and have a lot wider area that they cover. So if you have those, then remember them. Yep, remember them. That reminds me, those of you who have a Q machine, use it, okay, just to keep preventive. And those of you, it's just sometimes you forget that you have a Q machine and that it's really about boosting the immune system. But here, back to essential oils, you know, and Q machines are fairly expensive, so I'm not recommending you rush out and get one. But the essential oils aren't, yeah, and also vitamin C. So, and nor is good healthy food. So those are the free things, and nor is laughter, you know, watching funny movies on YouTube or cat clips or something. But
I have a question.
Yes, Shannon.
Do you have any favorite types of essential oils for boosting the immune system? Like, what kind is good?
Yeah, I do, Shannon. Thank you for asking. I'll get to it in a second. Yeah. And do you mean what brand or what particular oil?
I guess both.
Both. Okay. All right. Great. So you can get essential oil wipes, which you know, everyone's recommending the well, not everyone, but antibacterial wipes or antibacterial soap. It doesn't make sense using antibacterial, does it? When we're concerned about antiviral, unless you go for the antimicrobial health food soaps that have the real essential oils in them. You might find that in the health food store. Or you get your own pure soap, like I use Dr. Bronner's. I put it into old dispensers that have the squeezy, you know, the squeeze or the squirt or the spray, but it's actually very pure. It's Dr. Bronner's, and then I put my essential oils in there. And those of you who've been to our house and used our soaps, it actually says, what does it say, Mrs. Myers, because somebody in our old clinic bought a bunch of Mrs. Myers stuff, which I don't use. But I put in the Dr. Bronner's, and then I had essential oils like orange oil. The citrus oils are very good, Shannon. So I have a lemon essential oil, and you might have smelt it and just thought it was the smell of the soap. It actually wasn't. It's actually the essential oils that are in there. The oil of orange. So I use those just on a day-to-day basis. But so the wipes, I'll go into that later. What also people are recommending instead of antibacterial soaps, I'm saying you can make your own antimicrobial soap. And some people are recommending like alcohol, like we will have alcohol in our clinic, and it's a 70% isopropyl alcohol and not the 90%. Okay, so if you are into alcohol, great. I'm not, because I'm really sensitive to it. I don't do very well with it. But you can have wipes made of pre-made wipes with essential oils, which are antimicrobial. Yeah, and notice I'm saying antimicrobial because we're including antifungal, antibacterial, as well as antiviral. So it's just microbial. Some people, you can make up a spray bottle and put your essential oils in there with a little bit of regular oil, like fractionated coconut oil and water, and use them as spraying your countertops, spraying your hands. And we'll get into which oils they are. And if you're using it actually on the skin, make sure that you have a good oil carrier like jojoba, organic. Make sure it's always organic, fractionated coconut oil. There are some other ones that I don't need to go into here, but there's a lot that you can find online here that I'm bringing it up to just kind of wake you up and remind you that these are incredible tools from nature that can help us. So Shannon, here you go. The citrus oils are good. Lemongrass, orange, frankincense I always like. It's also good, if people are in a panic, for calming people down. Actually, I didn't have any panic oils in here. Anxiety oils, I should. Lavender, frankincense, myrtle. There's a lot more that I can find for you if you want. But these are more the antimicrobials. They are tea tree oil. Thieves, I want you to write down thieves. Yeah. This was, those of you who know anything about essential oils, that there is a company called Young Living. And I learned about this, gosh, about 20 years ago, and I was just so intrigued by this recipe, because during the time of the Black Plague, supposedly, and there are multiple stories about this, but Gary Young dug this story up, this whole kind of history, that there was a gang that went round to all the dead bodies. I mean, it's a kind of gruesome story. Some of you may know it, and robbed them of their jewels. And they figured out, from ancient times, that if they used this blend of oils, that they'd be fine. And apparently they were. So this thieves has been used, is very well loved by all Young Living distributors. They make wipes. We have some of the thieves wipes in our clinic, actually. If anybody needs them, we have them. They also do a hand wash, and you can make your own, unless you have a Young Living distributor nearby and you can access it. But and here are some of the ingredients. Cinnamon bark. In Chinese medicine, we use the cinnamon bark when people are just about to get a flu or a virus or a cold, and we simmer it. Eucalyptus, rosemary, clove, lemon, tea tree oil. They're all really, really good. And as I say, all you need to do is Google online. I mean, I'm so grateful. It saves me a lot of work. Google online the recipe for thieves, and you'll see how to make it, and you can use it. Yeah. So this is the essential oils. Is this enough for starters for you, Shannon?
Yes, thank you. That's great.
Okay. And also, I know you work in a hospital, so you're probably not allowed to do this, but, sometimes burning or diffusing just some very gentle, calming herbs can be also good and alternate. Actually, I have a couple of very old bottles that I found from Young Living. This was decades ago, and this is called Immu Power, and it's got, here's my magnet, frankincense, which we love, hyssop, mountain savory, clove is a really, really there. We've got clove there. Black cumin, which is another really important immune booster. And these are really good herbs as well. So we've got the essential oils, but we've also got the herbs. Idaho tansy oregano, which is a great one too, especially for fungus. The other one they have that I used to burn a lot is called Purification. And this has some of my favorites. Let's see, citronella is a really good one. Lemongrass I love. Rosemary. You know, if a lot of us here in California grow rosemary bushes, go out and steam up some rosemary or use it in your cooking, because that's amazing for helping the liver detox, as well as antimicrobial. Melaleuca, of course, lavender and myrtle, which we've already discussed. So just some things to inspire you there, and cloves really, really fantastic. Just come out of this. Okay. So talking about immune boosters and bug busters. I'm just thinking, in terms of food, Chinese medicine is really, really good. And I have a couple of recordings that I will dig up that really goes into it in a lot more depth, you know, if you're interested. And the reason I want to talk about this at the end is, you know, if any of you need to run, you can come back and listen to the replay, because it is a little bit more complicated. And Chinese medicine is very sophisticated because they don't want you to take formulas that suppress or knock out the bugs at the same time that you're taking formulas that boost your immune system. They make it very separate. So there are formulas that boost your immune system. There's one, it's a very simple, I'm going to call it an earthy one. It's called Jade Screen, that the Chinese, not the ancient Chinese, I don't know what they're doing these days, but you know, for millennia, thousands of years, have used, and it's got astragalus in it, which is a really, really important, what we call it an adaptogenic, that balances the immune system. And it tonifies the immune system. So when people are weak, we recommend that they use that during the flu season just to stay healthy. And there's a very modern formula. Some of you may remember I was talking about a continuing education seminar I went to last week with this very highly respected Chinese medicine doctor. His name is Dr. Daniel Weber. And he has developed this line of very, very potent Chinese herbal formulas. And he's taken green and turned it into a formula called Resist. So it looks like this. I'm not saying you have to get it, but it's just that they've been thoroughly tested. There's tons of research on them. And it's taking the Jade Screen formula into another level as a protective. So, you know, it's useful during the cold and flu season. It's useful if you have little kids that are always catching colds from their preschool or their schools and coming home. It's useful just as a general preventive if you're nervous about having a strong immune system.
Any chance you would like some?
Is that Anne?
Tiffany crystal wine glasses, comma, never used.
Oh, hey, we can hear you.
Question mark.
We can hear you, Anne. You may want to go back into, you've unmuted yourself. So, okay. And then so when you're boosting your immune system, it's like, you know, there's all kinds of nurturing foods, as we're saying, you know, you avoid your GMOs, you eat your organic food. There's a very simple Chinese formula when you're at the beginning of a cold, which is actually rice, cooking rice with cinnamon twigs and fresh ginger. And that's to actually settle the immune system. So that takes me to the fresh ginger is really, really good as an antimicrobial. So make sure that you have fresh ginger in your kitchen. If you cook it for more than 5 minutes, it shifts from being a very, very powerful antimicrobial into more of an immune booster and a tonic, and it strengthens your digestive tract. So just make sure, just add fresh ginger, raw ginger, you know, to whatever you're eating, or if you're cooking soups or whatever, add it, you know, at the last minute so it's very fresh. If you're fine and you're healthy, then just cook it for much longer, then it shifts into an immune booster. So that's an example of an immune booster when you cook it a certain amount of time, over 5 minutes, and a bug buster when you cook it for less than that. Other things that are really good is mint, peppermint, and we covered some of these in the essential oils, you know, but eating them as foods too. Oregano, the rosemary, thyme, fennel can be very good too. So those are all immune support. And we've covered, you know, simple things like the vitamin C that you can do easily, you know, and instantly.
I'm trying to find a good home for.
And we can still hear you. Anne is moving, so I think she's trying to find good homes for her stuff.
I've emailed Anne.
Have you emailed her? Okay, good. Okay, that's funny. And you never know, somebody on the call might want some wonderful Tiffany crystal. So let's see, in terms of Chinese herbal formulas, a very simple one is called yin chow. I'm sure a lot of you know about that. And what happens is you take like your jade screen at the beginning and your astragalus and your adaptogenic healthy herbs. Siberian ginseng is another one. And as soon as you get any kind of culture,
if they would like to come live with you, comma, or a good friend, comma, please let me know, period.
I wonder if I can mute
Zero
Anne.
pressure.
Let me see.
You can mute.
I
You
can
should be
mute?
able to mute. You should be able to mute.
I think she did. Okay, yeah, I've muted her. Okay, that's easy. Okay, great. I've learned something. Let me see. Yes, so the yin chow, which is a very common, and make for your Chinese medicine local doctor, okay? Because they will have much more sophisticated formulas for different stages of, if you happen to get, well, actually, if you get any flu or cold or anything, you know, we are able to knock these things out usually pretty fast. I very rarely get sick. If I get a sore throat or something, I'll start chewing my herbs and bam, it's gone. You know, if I'm around a lot of sick patients. And I get them to take their herbs very fast. So, but yin chow, really important. It's very good at the beginning of symptoms. But it's not good when it goes deeper. Yeah. So there's, for example, with this coronavirus, it tends to go straight to the lungs and people get very dry. So therefore you would take herbs, and it's getting a little complicated now, that are good to moisturize the young lungs and be antimicrobial. And that's where, you know, we would recommend foods like pears, which are very lubricating for the lungs, or loquat, which are lubricating for the lungs. And then there are all kinds of formulas based on the stage that a Chinese medicine doctor would be able to help you more specifically with. Okay, let me see. If you're local, then you know, and need extra support, then what we use here, that doesn't matter what stage you're in, is it's called antiviral. And if you've got a cold or a cold, then we use antibiobotanical. The difference, the way you can tell the difference if you've got a virus or a cold, and this is really important, is a cold will be, if it's bacterial infection, you'll usually have mucus, yellow phlegm. If it gets bad, it'll be green phlegm, or it might even go to a rust-colored sputum. If viral, you're going to have to. Is that, can't hear me? Let me see. It just said my speaker is not working. Can you hear me now?
You're back. We lost that last section.
Okay, on the how to tell the difference between a cold and a flu.
Got a bit of it, but then your voice went all funny.
Yeah, it's still saying that it's Not working. Ah.
Untitled Chapter.
I'll repeat then. My internet actually was off a couple of days ago. We had thunderstorms and lightning and it went down completely. So the way to tell the difference between a bacterial infection, can't hear me? Oh, let's see. You can hear me now.
It's okay now.
Okay, so I'll repeat again. The way to tell the difference between a bacterial and a viral, usually, yep, bacterial will have mucus, then green institution, yep. Viral is usually just clear fluid. Yep. With this particular virus, the coronavirus, it's going straight into the lungs and it's more of a dry cough and dryness in the lungs. So make sure that you stay very hydrated. Don't get dry so that the virus gets up and go into your lungs. We want you to flush any viral stuff down into your stomach where your stomach breaks it up. Oh, good. Drinking. Yes, good. Drinking. Yeah, okay, great. I think that's enough. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much. I will see if I can find the links if you want more to the immune boosters versus bug busters, which is, you know, much more clear because it also stands and is totally relevant to today, okay, in terms of boosting your immune system. I'm going to, and so now we're into any questions, anything that you want to cover? Ask? Yes, Anne.
My favorite, maybe it's a bug buster. My favorite thing to use, apart from the vitamin C, is garlic.
Garlic, excellent. Exactly, that comes under food. So garlic, thank you, thank you. Garlic, scallions, especially raw garlic. Yeah, the cooked garlic has a different substance, a different use. But raw garlic, scallions, that actually, the scallions, I knew there was a missing piece in this soup with the rice, the cinnamon bark, and scallions. That's what they do at the beginning of a cold or a flu. So thank you for that. Yes, any other favorites that anybody has?
While I'm still on here, did you hear about the woman in China who was hospitalized for eating 1.5 kilos or 3 pounds of the raw garlic?
No.
Her throat damaged her throat.
It damaged her throat because she at 1.5 pounds. No, so
3 pounds. 3 pounds.
3 pounds. Oh God. Was that recent? Was that because of the virus, coronavirus?
Yes, yeah.
Oh dear.
So they've got a list on the BBC here of 5 of the most ridiculous things, basically, that you can do. And number 1 is garlic.
So this
Have
is what Shannon.
Oh, I was going to ask if you guys have heard of the, you take coconut oil, you know, like the, out of a jar, that kind that's thick, you know.
Yeah.
In your mouth and you swish it around until it becomes liquid. And just swish it around, swish it through your teeth. And it's supposed to help your immune system. And then one of my other friends takes thieves and puts it on one of those little tiny brushes that you can get, the special for dental, and she puts the thieves oil between her gums. You know, the teeth, where the teeth, you can just like kind of put it between your teeth where there's a little opening. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, absolutely.
The plaque brushes, basically.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
anti-plaque brushes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yes. And the oil pulling, that the coconut oil, that has been used for centuries, yeah, in India, and a lot of it, people swear by it because then, you know, that's a great suggestion, Shannon, because that's helping to any plaque and bacteria and viruses and bugs lurking in your mouth and in your gums. So oil pulling, some people say it needs to be done for 20 minutes, but yeah, absolutely. So
another thing is if you're getting a cold, to really brush your tongue well, because they found that you can prevent pneumonia by just keeping the tongue clean at the very back of the throat. That's one of the things we do to prevent pneumonia with anybody who's unconscious or anything, is do really good oral care, because then the germs don't go down the back of your throat, get into your lungs and that kind of thing.
That's fantastic, Shannon. So this is preventive care in the hospital.
Yeah.
Gosh, I didn't know that. That's fabulous. Wow, that's very inspiring. So yes, keep your tongue clean. Yeah, thank you. Keep your tongue clean. And David, you have a question. And by the way, and you can also brush your tongue. If you notice that there's white fur on it, it means that you know, in Chinese medicine, we use the tongue to diagnose a lot of stuff. I won't go into that here. But it can be really useful. And you can tell if people are really anxious, for example, and that's relevant, by looking at the tip of their tongue. There'll be a red tip. Yeah? And if there's thick fur, then there's a lot of fungal stuff going on, and that person's immune system is going to be very compromised. Okay. David.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if I'm starting to get a cold or something, when I sleep at night, I take the pillow away, because it seems like I don't cough so much because the fluid isn't dropping down into my lungs. When you have a pillow and it raises your head, whereas it goes the other way.
Mm-hmm. So that's a very good practical tip.
Because I used to get bronchitis as a kid a lot, and they put the bed up on at the far end so that everything drained back out overnight.
Great.
That was the intention anyway.
Yes, yes. Did it work?
Yeah, it certainly works now. I mean, I go to sleep at night. If I have a cough, normally I would just be coughing and spluttering in the night. But when I take the pillow away and just lie on my back, I sleep fine.
Oh, so that's a good tip. Very good tip. Yeah. I'm thinking, I'm just responding back to what Anne in England is saying, is that there seems to be disinformation where they are poo-pooing simple, tried and true, old recipes, you know, like the garlic. They've been doing it a lot with the vitamin C, saying that it's fake news. So this is one of the reasons I wanted to do the call, that these things, you know, the fresh ginger, these things have been used for centuries, and they work. Yeah. Something that I wanted to mention that I kind of touched on briefly is the EMFs. Okay, Wi-Fi. In my doctor's forums, and also, I don't know if you know, I know you do, Anne, what building biology is. It used to be called biobiology, which is the study of healthy buildings, or buildings on the health of human beings. And it's now called building biology, and you can Google it, and they are very, very concerned about the radiation from electromagnetic fields, electromagnetic radiation. And what, there was a report by a guy, I think he's American. Anyway, he spent 1.5 years in China researching, and he actually originally got very, very sick when he was working in Japan, at a university in southern Japan, called Fukuoka, in Kyushu. And he got very, very sick and got tested, and everyone said he was completely fine. There was nothing wrong, until he found an alternative medicine doctor who tested that he had all these heavy metals and stuff going on, and viruses, etc. And when he did some more research and realized that there were all these cell phone towers that were popping up, and more, and that he was being getting sicker and sicker. And when he moved behind the mountain and rented a log cabin away from the Wi-Fi, he got better. So then he started doing this research in China, and there are consistent stories about how Wuhan, where the coronavirus started, is very, very big in 5G, which is the 5th generation of EMF. And it's also very big in Wenbu and province, but also very big in 5G. And so that's exactly where the coronavirus is very rampant. And so he's concerned that the 5G is actually knocking people's immune systems out, and they're not used to this much higher frequency. Also in Italy, very big 5G, you know, where there's been this big outbreak, and the whole of Italy seems to be in lockdown now, unfortunately. South Korea, very big with 5G. So he's put all this together with his experience, his knowledge. He's not being conspiracy theory. He's just, sensitively putting down, doing his research and documentation. And apparently Iran is another big area where there's been outbreaks, and that's big 5G rollout too. So, and I think the Diamond Princess cruise ship, 5G from top to toe. So the reason I'm telling you is just to be sensible. If you can, turn off your Wi-Fi at night. Do your sensible Wi-Fi protocols. If you can. And I know a lot of hospitals are 5G, so we want our beloved nurses to be as strong and healthy as possible. And to, once you're taking all your healthy foods and doing all your protective stuff, your immune systems are going to be much stronger and able to withstand that. Because, there are lots of people getting coronavirus and it's just been like a mild cough and a slight fever. So we need to remember that. Okay? So, don't go and sit under a cell phone tower when you're doing your, internet research or whatever, and don't use Bluetooth all the time. Just make sure that you turn this off and give your immune systems a chance to regenerate. And as I said before, here are bees coming back, and we don't use Wi-Fi. We are Ethernet connected where we are. So, before we close, any other excellent suggestions or thoughts? No? Okay, all right. So I want to thank you all for your great input. Hopefully this is useful for you. Let me know if you have questions or email me, and I will send you an email with the replay and the immune boosters and bug busters recordings, if I can find them. Hopefully I can, from, I think they were 2006 or something, but they're still very relevant today. And here's the deal: essential oils and these ancient herbal formulas are very broad spectrum. Yep, it's not like Western thinking that we have a bug and we go after it and we have to have a vaccine or a medication that's specifically for that thing. So it's honoring that when you need that, when it's needed, it can be life-saving. So I just want to make sure that we're not putting any of that down. It can be absolutely life-saving. It has saved untold lives. And just from this practical home remedy place, these formulas and foods work on a very large spectrum. We don't need to be very specific. We just need to know that it's actually, boosting the immune system in general, and that it's busting bugs in general. And also, from some of my colleagues, I'm hearing that there is lots of research right now in terms of our herbs, Chinese herbs, for knocking out the actual coronavirus itself. So to be continued, I'll be giving you an update. There's actually a conference. We've got Chinese medicine conference in, I think it's on the 20th, where we're going to be getting an update from a researcher from Berkeley on the latest stats on all of that. So, they're on it. They're doing some excellent work. It's not in the media because the media is all about big pharma. Yeah. All right. So I want to encourage you to end on a joyful note. Go watch some funny movies. Have fun with your friends. If you're self-isolating, then turn on your happy music and dance and play and hug your kids, and stay in touch with us. Okay? All right. Good job, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.